Welcome to Everyday Ellis's.
Welcome to Everyday Ellis's.
Thanks for joining us.
Yay.
We are chatting. We're drinking some tea. We're battling a little cold, but we're going to talk today about climbing mountains with community. So when we were laying with the kids when they woke up this morning, it was so cute. And I was thinking about this quote I had written on my whiteboard that Robin Arzone had said on one of my Peloton rides I took sometime last year. Find your tribe and climb mountains together. And then I felt called to do a different ride today. Mix things up. I used to only ride to Alex Toussaint, so I picked one of his rides today. And he brought that same concept back up about climbing mountains. And so that is what we're going to chat about.
All right. So I think that as humans, we're all like little balls of energy, right? Potential energy, if you're a physics major. When we come in contact with each other, there's exchange of energy. And there's mixing it and feeling it. And that's why crowdthink is a real thing. That's why if you're in a great mood and you get in a room with 3 other people that are in a bad mood, you're more likely to get in a bad mood than they are to be in a good mood, unless you can outweigh their energy. All these little energy transfers, right? That's one example of a zillion transfers of energy that happen every day throughout people. And when you transfer energy, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. It's probably not going to be about the same. Meanwhile, also you're living your life. So what was the last time you ate, slept, etc.? Your energy levels are changing constantly. But what I'm getting at is, are you a crab or are you a barrel of monkeys? Have you heard about this one yet?
I don't know about the barrel of monkeys.
Yes.
You often say the crab.
You're either a crab or you're a barrel of monkeys. And a lot of people don't even realize what they are because they don't think about energy exchanges, and they rarely even think about the other human being, let alone exchanging energy with another human being. Let's start with empathy, right? So first, have an empathy for the fact that there's another organism in the room and their life matters too. Then go to energy exchanges. Now, are you a crab or are you a barrel of monkeys? Because you only have 2 options when you see another human being. There will be an energy exchange. If you watch crabs, this is a popular one. Lots of self-help people talk about the crab theory. If you watch crabs in a big old, is it called a tank or like equestrian?
Aquarium?
It's a tank, and we'll call it a tank. And one crab tries to get out, all the other crabs pull him back in, right? They don't help the other crab out. They don't say, oh, well, maybe if his claw reaches the top, then we could all climb together and make a little train and get out. That's why you can have a thing without a lid for crabs, because we'll just keep pulling each other back in, right? Humans are the same way. When they see someone doing good, they'll innately, because of competition, and our human existence is based on competition of resources, will subconsciously or consciously do things to pull them back in. Or are you a barrel of monkeys? In my opinion, because we're social creatures, I think right now it may be impossible to rise as a human being across energy levels. So let's say, whether you want to say it's you went from sweeping floors to being the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business, or you went from 300 pounds and not a weight to being the most attractive person and surrounded by people who physically love you. Like, whatever your energy level, right, that you want to change is in health, wealth, love, or happiness, you can't do it without pulling other humans with you. It's a law of energy, right? And you are what you repeatedly do. So if every interaction you have with other people, you're constantly thinking, how do I assist that person out of the tank? How do I lift them out of the tank? Or how do I pull them? Because at some moment you realize whether you're ahead or behind of them in the race. And if you're right next to them, then lock arms. You're still a barrel of monkeys. But don't pull down. Don't be a crab. Don't withhold information from them that may help them because it fears that they may become better than you. Don't, fill in the blank, anything negative. People are crabs. A lot of people are crabs. Or are you a barrel of monkeys?
People have a lot of fear, and I don't think it's always malicious that they know that they're keeping you down or pulling you down with them. It's that they're afraid of what might happen, what might go wrong. And so they just want to see you stay safe in your bubble because they're comfortable in their bubble. I like the barrel of monkeys. I just see like literal that game. What was that game?
Barrel of monkeys.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so the main game is called Barrel of Monkeys.
Hey, that's what I picture.
And they're little arms, right?
Yeah.
And they pull each other up. That's exactly what it is. You're either a crab or you're a barrel of monkeys.
Yeah. So, I don't know, so much has changed in parenthood, and so much has changed with moving back to the beach, and so much has changed with our situation here, Jon's new job, just the different phase the kids are in, so many changes, and reflecting on, who are those people in our tribe that cheer us on and want to encourage us and even push us to reach our crazy goals and ideas that we have. And what are they doing in their own life to reach their goals, and how can we encourage and cheer them on? And it's super exciting thinking about the different phase that we're in and the capacity we have to like reflect and think of that in our circle now. It's super exciting. Mm-hmm. And it's also really scary. And like, when I'm riding my Peloton bike and they're like, literally, you're like, this should feel like you're trudging through mud or sand. And it does, right? If you turn the resistance knob up and you're not cheating yourself, you're really climbing that mountain. And, it's also the metaphor for life. Like, am I cheating myself in my own life? Am I not cranking up that resistance knob? I know I can achieve more. I know I can take that pedal stroke, that one next best decision to propel me towards whatever my current chosen mountaintop is. And it's really hard and it's really scary. And having those friends that cheer you on, I don't think it makes it easier. It's not that.
It does in ways, I think. It depends on your personality, maybe.
I just think it makes for me, it doesn't make it easier. It makes me feel less crazy about trying to reach for those dreams and trying to climb that mountain. It's when I hear about other people doing crazy things too, I'm like, okay, we can do crazy together.
Yeah, I think your community that you're surrounded by is like when you try to do something on your own and you're surrounded by people who aren't maybe where you want to go, right? Then you're using addition. You're putting Legos together in addition, like 1 + 1. Okay, then I'll do this +1 + 1. But when you're surrounded by people who are where you want to be and or are headed in the same direction, you're using to the exponent. Everything you do is this times this, times this again, times this again. Every step you take feels like boom, boom. And I think it's because you're surrounded by people who have blazed that trail out. You're not looking into a big forest of trees and going, I'm not really sure if I should go an inch. You're someone's way in their forest going, yeah, you're good, dude. Keep coming. Seriously, put it down to 45 and just send it. Come on. Like, hurry up. I got lunch. And that's huge. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
When I think of, we've talked about this in other episodes of, you don't always have a mentor that you can have lunch with and face to face. Maybe it's a podcast you're listening to or a book from an author who's passed away.
The imminent dead, Charlie Munger calls them.
Yeah.
The imminent dead.
But it's also like, for me, sometimes it's my Peloton people. Like, I don't meet these people, but they're giving me high fives and cheering me on in my community there. and the instructor on the screen. Like maybe someday I'll be able to go to Peloton Studios and meet them in person or on a book tour or something different. But I'm like, I feel just as connected in some ways to them as I do a mom on a play date, because they're my people I show up regularly and get that cheering from. And I think that that's another thing about like looking at the perspective of who the people are in your tribe. It might not necessarily be the friend that lives 5 houses down, or the mom in your mom's group, or the mom on the baseball team, or your coworker. It could be those people in those other settings that are showing up for you there too.
Yeah. And then it goes back to perspective. So how did you meet this person? How did your relationship form? Was it through things that you had common interest in, or were you trauma bonded? Right. So if you met a person and you both ran through the hells of Iraq together for 3 months and just survived and saw rape and pillage.
Or we can do something realistic like a fire academy.
Okay, or something like that, right? And you made it to the other side, you're going to be really close, right? But you still don't know once you go back to regular society whether they're going to be healthy with their mindset and healthy individuals and actually have similar interests as you and similar paths as you. Those are two different, but you're bonded, right? Or did you find someone out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of life, and you saw them across the room and you're like, oh, that person's like a reflection of me and what I'm trying to do with my life. And I feel like we could talk all day long about stuff I'm interested in. And when I say something, they're interested. And when they say something, I'm interested. And we can just talk for hours. It's a very different bond, right? That second person may really be the direction that you need to head with your future. Even though that trauma bond will never go away, it's not a bad relationship. It's important. But going back to family, right? A lot of times you're trauma bonded with family. And sometimes people's biggest hurdles when they first start to go out and adventure into growth is the fear of outgrowing their family and or their family having issues with it. So that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. I think that part of the thing with the, tribe to climb mountains with together, it's like maybe you're not on the same path at all. Like, I want to be an author and write. I really enjoy writing. And, my friend is an artist. Very different. Both creative in their own ways, but I'm not going to sit down and like paint this beautiful thing on a canvas like my friend is. Maybe she's also a good talented writer. That is not me, but I'm going to cheer her on in her big dreams of pursuing art and whatever that may look like for her. And I'm hoping that she's cheering me on in my capacity of writing and what that might look like for me. And maybe meet an entrepreneur or a small business owner, and that's something that you're interested in right now. You have money invested in the stock market and you're trying to diversify your income streams. So you met this entrepreneur and now your mind is opened up that way because they're climbing different mountains, and they're someone that's really great to have different perspective and encourage and just go along mountain climbing together.
Yeah. And the more you dive into a relationship with someone that's going the same direction as you in a healthy way, you learn to balance energies, you learn when to walk away, when to stay. So it's just like a marriage. You become better at relationships in general, right? But you're allowed to have more relationships in your life than just your marriage. Friendships are a real thing. Family are a real thing. Coworkers are a real thing. Don't be afraid to dive into them with sincerity, because what binds people together are values and being sincere about your actions or truth, right? So every interaction you have with another person is an opportunity to be lifted in some way. I forget who it was, but I think it was Socrates or something. Said that every single person he knows or every single person he runs into has something that could knows something that he could learn from, or that could teach it. Like, yeah, the wisest person in decades or millennia saying that every human being I run into can teach me something. And he looks for that in every individual. And if you approach every relationship you have that way, and you give that energy and you inject that focus and that positive reinforcement, it's going to come back at you. And it's going to be taxing. It's going to be really tiring to pour into people. And then it's going to be even more tiring to do that and then come home and then pour into your family. But the return will be exponential because you're literally injecting energy into all these other energy beings around you. And what we talked about before is if you're surrounded by people who you're aligned with, then it'll be exponential. It won't be addition for everything. So let's say you're talking to this person about real estate and you inject energy with them. Your real estate is going to start growing exponentially. If you are talking to someone about relationship growth, like they're deep into therapy and psychology and social, and your ability to form relationships in a healthy way is going to grow exponentially. And in all, again, health, wealth, love, and happiness. What quadrant are we talking about? But it takes effort. It takes discipline. It takes looking in the mirror and saying, am I being truthful about this matter, this matter, this matter? And that's actually one of my things that I had issues with is I would always, if I set a goal physically, I always related things back to physical endeavors when I was young. So if I was like, yeah, I'm going to go out and run 20 miles. Well, if around the 12th mile, I hurt something or injured something, I wouldn't stop. I'd be like, I told myself I was going to run 20 miles and I'm going to run 20 miles. And then I would finish it and then I would pay for it with some long-term injury. But I always thought of it more as a mental resiliency. And because what mattered more to me was that I was truthful to myself and I'm going to complete this task. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So there is balance there. Don't take things to the excess. That's the other lesson to be learned. But that's the power of return on energy, right? If you're truthful with people around you and you speak good about them and you pour into them sincerely, with your best efforts in moderation, in 2 years you will not be where you thought you would be.
Yeah. I think this topic is so huge. We can keep talking about it. We'll probably talk about it again multiple times. I think we're going to wrap it up there, though. Okay. So thanks for chatting.